Hi there! Now we are entering the last phase in the design of the catamaran hull. Meaning that now it's a moment of truth. Will the lines be fair enough, or do I need to modify anything? I'm pretty sure that I will need to modify some things, but let's check. To check the fairness of the hull, I choose one waterline like 10 centimeters above the zero line, and here you can see that it's bending too much. First it's going inwards, then a little bit outwards, and then finally inwards again, and that's not good. As I made the mold profiles a little bit too thick, I have some margin to shape off a little bit on some areas. Another option is of course to widen these two ones here. What about 5 centimeters above the waterline? This line. Similar pattern, but not that extreme. So if I trim off half a centimeter here and half a centimeter here, that will improve the situation. Cut back half a centimeter here, but I think it's best to do a mixture of both. Cut back where it's actually really too thick and leave it as it is on some areas. Otherwise it's pretty good. So where it actually matters, I made a reasonable job. So let's see how it looks here in the back end. One can see that this mold over here is too wide, but it needs to be this wide to fit the hatch. So I can't cut back on this one. I could make the bulkhead down here a little bit thinner. So I need to trim off about this. Take off 5 millimeter here and 3 millimeter here. Now it's just to trim off the things that I found out. I screw off the mold from the strong back, so I can do the trimming on the outside. It's nice to be able to leave the dust on the outside. To preserve the laser leveling, I find the old screw holes. Make sure that the mold is put back in line. For some small adjustments I work inside. It gets really dusty, but checking is easier. And I do some fine trimming until it looks good. Another lazy way is to use an oscillating multi-tool. After all the trimming, I need to make sure it's symmetrical and that the lines are fair. In all directions. There are some new areas that falls out as mismatches. I also decided to make a few new molds. And trim them to match. Some rough testing before I can exchange the old ones for new. That fits better. Here I can and must use a laser level to align the molds and check the fit before setting up the next mold and screw it in place. This looks really good. And here as well. And it's symmetrically good. In the back end, I trim off the sides of the transom and smooth out around the cutting. I find the old holes and screw the transom in place. The fit looks very nice, also close to the keel, and I decide this is good enough. To prepare for the next phase, I tape the edges, but that will be in the next episode, and I hope to see you back here again then.